To Libya now, where at least 141 people have been killed in an attack on a military airbase in the south. The Brak al-Shati base is controlled by the Khalifar Haftar-led Libya National Army. The attack is suspected to have been carried out by the 3rd Force militia, which is loyal to the UN-backed government. According to LNA's spokesman, Ahmad al Mesmari, most of the victims are soldiers. However, there are also a few civilians. But the national government has denied ordering the attack and announced an inquest into the incident. UN Envoy Martin Kobler, together with the British ambassador to Libya, Millet, have condemned the attack. The national government and LNA are battling for influence in the North African nation. Well, let's now get more information on the incident. I'm now joined by CGTN's Yasser Hakim, who is live for us in Cairo. Yasser, what more do we know about this incident at this time and who was behind it?
Well, according to the Libyan officials, National Libyan Army led by Khalifar Haftar's officials, saying that they have been accusing and naming one man. They call him Ahmad al Mesmari, and they say he's a representative or leader of al-Qaeda in Libya. And they're saying that this man has worked with the 3rd Battalion that is loyal to the government and the Presidential Council, as well as the ISIL and the Muslim Brotherhood, the outlawed Muslim Brotherhood. The three of them have been accused by the National Army of being behind and masterminding and taking effect of this attack that has killed 141 people. Now, what has happened is that the attack was on an airbase controlled by the army, and there was also civilians who were killed. They were also in the airbase, and some of them were shot point blank by execution style by the attackers, according to the National Army. The army said that they have regained control of the airport a few hours later, when this group had tried to take over the airport, and that they have launched some air raids on ISIL positions around the airbase that's south of Libya. And on the other hand, obviously, the government and the Presidential Council have denied such allegations or such accusations by the National Army. However, the army did not back down from these statements, and said the investigation is continuing, confirming that he believes the Presidential Council units are behind this.
And Yasser, what impact is this incident likely to have on ongoing efforts to unite Libya's rival governments?
Obviously, it will have a huge impact, negative impact. Of course, the Presidential Council and the government on one side are trying to forge peace with the National Army led by Khalifar Haftar and the Assembly, the International Organized Parliament. They're both at odds, both sides. And one side, which is the Khalifar Haftar, is now accusing the other side of being behind this. You can call it they have called it an act of war, and therefore this could lead to the resumption of clashes between both sides, and could even lead to a civil war, because each side has its own military. So they're both well equipped. They both have soldiers and militias. And this could lead to an all-out war inside Libya, which will obviously give room for terrorist groups such as ISIL to wreak havoc more and to gain more room in the country. And this is what the politicians, the neighboring countries are trying to avoid by trying to bring back peace between both sides. However, if they both insist on their stand concerning this attack, then obviously the National Army said it will revenge, and their revenge is to attack the militias loyal to the government and the Presidential Council.
And yes, sir, finally, we have already heard a reaction from the United Nations. They have, as we heard there, condemned the attack. What are regional leaders there saying about this incident and the prevailing political situation?
Egypt had announced a statement saying that they condemn what has happened, and they are calling for both sides for restraint from both sides, and to know who is behind this attack and bring the perpetrators to justice to avoid any escalation of violence in the country. The Arab League has also condemned this action, and the Arab League envoy will be traveling to Libya this week to try to bring both sides together and to also push forth the peace talks between both sides. We know that just 2 weeks ago, Khalifar Haftar met with Fayez Sarraj, the head of the Presidential Council in Abu Dhabi, for the first time in a year, or more than a year. And they were sitting together to try to reach some kind of consensus on a peace initiative. And this development could hamper the efforts that have succeeded in bringing them back together. So the Arab League is trying to put this peace process back on track in cooperation with the UN as well.
All right, thank you very much for that update. CGTN's Yasser Hakim there speaking to us live from Cairo, Egypt.